Here we go. Carson Wentz came into the season with MVP hopes, but his Eagles are 5-6. They're playing some shaky football, and they currently sit on the outside of the playoff picture. Looking in. All right, Bart, the player with the most to prove the rest of the season is blank.
To me, it has to be Dak Prescott, right? Because we understand the road to the playoffs has gotten a lot more difficult, especially because Philadelphia has, I believe, the first or second easiest schedule there. And they have some tough matchups. And it starts today with the Buffalo Bills. So Dak Prescott's going to have to not only prove that he's worth the money, if he really likes and cares about his coach, he's going to have to try and take them at least to a Super Bowl berth. That's a lot of pressure.
Kurt?
I'm going with the guy we'll see today, Mitchell Trubisky. He was the #2 overall pick in the draft. They traded 4 draft picks to get him. Teams don't want to admit they made a mistake when you give up all that draft capital to get a guy. He did okay last year. If they can get him back to okay, they won't go out and get a new quarterback, I think. They'll stick with him. But he hasn't been even remotely close to okay. And if they have to do it, tear it up and start all over again, it changes their franchise.
It's a great point on Trubisky. They can't tank because they don't have their pick because of the Khalil Mack trade. And this offseason, they have to make the decision on that 5th-year option. So he could be playing, even though the Bears aren't going to make playoffs, he could be playing for his future as an NFL starter. I'm going to go with the guy we know is an NFL starter. I thought I knew was an elite NFL starter, just hasn't played like one this year, Carson Wentz. You mentioned how easy the schedule is for them coming up. 2 against the Giants, 1 against Washington, 1 against Miami. Despite how mediocre they've been, it's still all in front of them. The team ahead of them in the standings is talking about firing their coach seemingly every day this week. Carson Wentz has to play better. I know he's dealing with a slight hand injury, but he seems healthier. He is healthier than he was last December or the December before. So I'm going to say Carson Wentz.
All right, good stuff. Speaking of guys with something to prove, despite reaching the Super Bowl last year, Jared Goff and the Rams are 6-5 and in a distant 3rd place out in the NFC West. So, Bart, the team outside of the playoffs most likely to get into the playoffs is blank.
The Browns. You talk about the easiest schedule remaining, and the one tough game they have is a team that they've already beaten, and the Baltimore Ravens. They just kind of match up with them well. They understand conceptually what the Ravens are trying to do. So I think they go on a run, and I think Baker Mayfield has finally settled down, and I think that they're playing good football, and I think they're going to be a sneaky team.
Kurt?
I'm going to go with the team you mentioned earlier, the Philadelphia Eagles. You look at the NFC playoff picture, it's basically set with the exception of who wins the NFC East. Yep. And you mentioned all the stats. The Eagles, their last 5 games, they play Miami this week, they play the Giants twice, they play Washington, and then the head-to-head with Dallas coming to them. They've got the potential to win all 5 of those games, which means Dallas has to go 4-1. Not only does Dallas play the Eagles, 3 of the other 4 games are against the Bills, the Rams, and the Bears. I don't see them sweeping all those games. That would put Philadelphia in first place and make the playoffs.
I think Philadelphia will make the playoffs. I think you're correct, but I'm also I think you guys have the 2 teams that are outside in, so I could pick either one. I'm going to go with the Browns because I know how much it irritates Jenna Wolf. Listen, I don't know if you guys saw it, but Odell found the end zone this weekend. Baker's out here stunting on people again.
He's finally going to have more wins than commercials.
Right, they're gonna whether it's good or bad.
Who did they beat last week?
They're gonna say, listen, they beat who they played. They beat who was on their schedule.
Do you think they'll beat Baltimore again?
No,
I don't think they're gonna have to.
Do you think they're going to beat Pittsburgh again?
No
I do.
Shot.
I think they're.
I think those are 2 losses, and that's going to be 8-8. Well, they played better with their 3rd quarterback.
Yeah, listen, Duck Hodges might be their best option, but over Mason Rudolph. But I don't think they have to get to 10-6 in the AFC.
But they've got to get to at least 9.
I think they win every game except for Baltimore. I think 9-7. I think they got some tiebreakers. I think they get in. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns.
Disagree. I'm sorry. We're going to talk quarterbacks now. Russell Wilson is putting together another excellent season. 24 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. Has him in the mix for MVP. Bart Scott, the quarterback you'd most want to win 1 game is blank.
It's Russell Wilson, right? You talk about his 21 fourth-quarter comebacks. So he's a guy that comes up big in a tough spots. We know that he doesn't have the best personnel around him, but he's an elevator. He makes everybody around him better, and he starts to use those legs and that athleticism, that football acumen. When the game gets tight, he's thinking clearly. Everybody else is panicking.
I love Russell Wilson, but how can you not say Tom Brady? I mean, you can go with all the stats you want.
He's eating nightshades.
It doesn't matter. He wins games. I mean, that's the bottom line. The numbers don't look good. The teammates don't look good. Blah, 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 blah. In the end, he wins. They're 10-1 this year. Obviously, he's got the rings. I don't know how you go against him, no matter what.
Historically speaking, obviously, Brady's the answer. But in 2019, this year,
they're 10-1.
They are 10-1, and he has been a passenger on that ride rather than the driver on that ride.
But he wins games.
The team certainly wins games, and he's the quarterback for those wins. I'm going to go with the guy who I think you believe, I think there might only be 2 people left in the world who believe it, is going to end up a Super Bowl champion this year, one Patrick Mahomes. People have, all of a sudden, we are so prisoners of the moment.
Yeah,
all of a sudden, Patrick Mahomes isn't even better than Lamar Jackson anymore. Patrick Mahomes, is he even the best quarterback in his division? Who knows? People are saying different things. In his career, there have been 2 games where Patrick Mahomes did not, in the fourth quarter, have his team in the lead or tied. Twice. So that's however many games he's played. 27 games, 25 times he's put his team either in the lead or they've been tied in the fourth quarter. Now, the defense has let him down, unlike Brady's defense, who's been carrying him. He's had to carry the defense. I still say Patrick Mahomes. He's the best player in the whole league.
In the league?
Yeah, in the league.
All right, on to the New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees and company, 9-2, and the favorites to win the NFC. But, Bart, the best team in the NFL is blank.
The Baltimore Ravens, right? You talk about a team that's complete. You talk about elite special teams, kicking, making a trade for DeAnthony Thomas, I believe his name is, from Kansas City. Yeah, you know him very well. Field position. You talk about elite defense. Talk about scheme versatility. You got everything that you need, and you got something that the league hasn't seen in a long time. It's going to take them at least a year to adjust to it. Action Jackson's playing, great MVP caliber football. How can you not go with those Ravens?
Can I go with code number 1?
Sure.
Because I like the Ravens, too, especially the way their defense is playing right now, which nobody's talking about because we're captured by Lamar. But the 49ers, I think they're the most complete team in football because if you look at the Ravens, I think if you stop the run, and somebody's going to stop at one game. I mean, you always have that game where you can't do your thing. I think the 49ers, they have other ways to win games. They can win by passing the ball. Obviously, both defenses, I think, will keep them in games. I think from top to bottom, though, the 49ers are probably the best.
And Kyle Shanahan is maybe the hot young coach everyone thought Sean McVay was a year ago. Nothing in Sean McVay. But I'm going to go with the team that I think people got thrown off their scent because they laid such an egg against Atlanta. The New Orleans Saints went 5-0 without Drew Brees. The Saints, now they are banged up right now on the offensive line. If those guys get back healthy, how many different ways can they beat you? Yeah. The defense is the best the last 3 years has been so much better than it was previously. They still have Drew Brees. Michael Thomas is going to have 150 catches. And by the way, Alvin Kamara, Latavius Murray, and they are in position where if San Francisco doesn't beat Baltimore this weekend, all of a sudden the playoffs could go through the Superdome. That damn near got them to the Super Bowl last year, if not for the blown call. I think the Saints right now are the most complete team in the NFL.
All right, finally, the most important question of the day. When the Bears and Lions kick off today on Fox, what would you most like to be eating? Bart, the best Thanksgiving side dish is blank.
My wife's sage dressing. Little sage sausage mixed up in the dressing, little gravy. Yeah, I go into a coma in about 2 hours.
Okay.
I'm going right to the dessert, sweet potato pie. I'll have it as a side. I'll have it as an appetizer. I'll have it as a dessert. It doesn't matter.
It's a vegetable.
Those 2 things are good year-round at any time.
Yes.
I'm going to go with something that is only eaten on Thanksgiving, and I look forward to it every time. Green bean casserole. Get the little fried onions on the top. It's something, if you brought me green bean casserole any other day, I'd say, what are you doing? Right. But today, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited for it. Your wife's dressing sounds amazing. All sweet potato pie is great. I'm going to go green bean casserole.